Well, shooters and reloaders, Fortune Cookie 45 LC coming to you from the Hot Lead Zone. And let me introduce you to the Savage Model 11 VT. That's varmint target, heavy barrel, in .308 Winchester caliber. Now this rifle is 45 inches long. It weighs 9 pounds and 5 ounces, including the telescopic sight. Comes with a Bushnell 4 to 12 power telescopic sight, but the scope is not of a especially high quality. It's fine for what it is. The rifle shoots from a 4-shot detachable magazine. It has the fine Savage 110 action. They call it the Model 11 now, but it goes all the way back to the Model 110. Now the Savage 110 action is a very safe action because it has little gas ports here. In case you get a head separation, the gases will blow out these little ports here instead of going back into the shooter's face. But also part of the action is that it has a 3-position safety, where the front position right there is fire, the red dot's showing, and if you set it back 1 click, then that locks the trigger, but the bolt can still be worked to unload your rifle. Then if it's all the way back covering the red dot, then you're on full safe, the action's locked, and the trigger is deactivated. So it's a very nice safety, easy to work with your thumb. And it has basically a cylinder receiver. It's got an Accu trigger, which is very good. Very light trigger pull. It has a composite stock. Has dual pillar bedding for the action, and then the stock comes out with a couple of rails that supports the barrel right about here, and then it's free floated the rest of the distance. Now when this rifle was first received, the stock actually had a pinch right up here in the front of the fore-end tip, and I had to relieve that with a file to get that to be free floated, otherwise it was pinching on the left hand side of the rifle. Muzzle has a nice crown on it, so the heavy barrel should do well for target varmint shooting. The Savage Model 11 VT in .308 Winchester. Well, whenever you get a new rifle like this and the intention is for it to shoot accurate, precision, long range, then you have to get a package with it, other types of equipment that will allow the accuracy to be fully developed. Let's look at the package. Well, we're going to need some sundry items such as a sling. We have one for it. Extra detachable magazine, we'll get that. Of course we need some good factory ammo, and the reason is we're going to shoot this and see if it is very accurate in our rifle. If it is, we always have a baseline for something that we're going to challenge ourselves to exceed the accuracy of factory ammo. But we'll be able to get once fired brass, and in this case good Hornady brass, which is what we're going to use. So the once fired fire formed brass will allow us to start doing the precision reloading. This happens to be the 168 grain Hornady AMAX bullets loaded in the Hornady brass, and should be very good. Looking forward to using this. Now shooters and reloaders out there, when it comes to telescopic sights, we've heard a lot of short, terse sayings out there that seem to have a lot of wisdom behind it. Have you heard the one that says, when you buy a rifle, you should spend twice as much on the scope? Well, there may be something to that, but when it comes to a rifle that shoots accurately, we're going to get the appropriate scope for it. but the rifle doesn't shoot accurately. We don't want to blindly go ahead and spend twice as much as the rifle for a scope for that rifle. Now, have you heard the one that says that a rifle's only as good as a scope? And that sounds pretty good until you start thinking about it. So let me tell you a story. This shopper was at the gun store, and he's handling all these rifles and using up the salesman's time. And that's Bill. The salesman's name is Bill. And he's an excellent salesman. So this shooter's telling about all his hunting expeditions with his 270 and this happened and that happened, and he's handling all these rifles, and he's saying this thing about a rifle's only as good as a scope. And I'm being very patient, waiting my turn, but he's taking up about 20-25 minutes with the salesman Bill. Well, finally he's thinking about the rifle but doesn't buy it. And then he says, well, I need some 270 ammo. What do you have? And so Bill says, I got some good 270 ammo, Federal. It's $15 a box of 20. And so the guy says, I'll take a couple boxes. So Bill hands him a couple boxes of ammo. And then after that, he heads for the checkout stands. Well, I get my turn and I'm talking to Bill, and next thing that happens is that Bill gets a phone call from the checkout stands and says that the shooter had a couple boxes of 270 ammo, and he decided not to buy it, so he left them up in the front. And so Bill's rolling his eyes. All that time spent, and the guy's talking up a storm, and he's saying the thing about a rifle's only good as a scope, and then he turns out and doesn't even buy the ammo that he... And $15 a box is reasonable. Nothing wrong with that price. But anyway, let's go back to that statement. A rifle's only as good as the scope. Well, what's that say about rifles and shooters before there were even any scopes in the first place? And what's that say about the good shooting that's being done with rifles that don't have scope sights? And you could put the most expensive scope on a rifle that won't shoot and hit the broadside of a barn. What good is that? And what about the shooter? Doesn't the shooter have anything to do with how good a rifle is, no matter what scope's on it? So what it is a scope is part of a shooting system that includes the scope and the rifle and the shooter. The ammo? What about the ammo? If you have bad ammo, what good is the best scope and the best rifle? So the guy really was kind of, like Bill said, he's rolling his eyes. And some of the other shoppers were rolling their eyes too. Well, let's get back to the package. And that is, that rifle does deserve a better scope. So what we got for it is this. This is a Weaver Classic. It's 6 to 24 power. It's a Weaver, and I've always found the Weaver Classic scopes to be very good values. Scope weighs about 1.5 pounds, maybe a little more. It's 6 to 24 power, has the Ballistic X Reticle. We'll show you that in a little while. It has the adjustable objective for parallax, and it has a focusing eyepiece here. Nice action on the ring that does the power change, magnification ring. Got the nice Weaver insignia here, and it has 1/8 inch adjustment turrets. This is a higher quality scope which will do very well on this rifle. 24 power is adequate for target shooting and varmint hunting. Now of course we need a set of rings. These are Weaver rings that are pretty much industry standard. But then we need a set of reloading dies. And for that I chose the Lee Ultimate 4 die set. And let me tell you why I chose this particular set of dies. Now I got the Lee Ultimate die set not because of the new black box that the Lee die sets come in, but because of the quality of the 4 die set, and also it has the Lee neck sizing collet die, which gives me low runout in my ammo. Gives me flexibility of wanting to do that as opposed to using the full length resizing, bumping, the shoulder, all that kind of thing, precision reloading. I've got the most flexibility with this die set. Also has the Lee factory crimp die for 308, and it has the seating die. Now this die set is very nice quality. The only thing about it that people don't like is these die lock rings. You see, made out of aluminum, they're already kind of scarred up a little bit, and the die set hasn't even been used yet. So we can easily replace these rings if we want, and you know I have a lot of rings. But anyway, we have a nice powder dipper here and a shell holder included in the kit. So we always like these die sets. I have other 308 die sets, but I don't have the Lee collet neck die. I could have just bought the neck sizing die, the collet die, but I decided to get the whole ultimate die set instead. Now very essential is that you have some way to deal with the headspace of your rifle as it compares to the headspace of your ammunition. So one of the best instruments for that is the RCBS Precision mic. Now Hornady also has a comparator that a lot of shooters like, and if you like that, that's fine. But this particular instrument allows us to measure the headspace of our rifle and the headspace of our ammunition, and how the two relate together for maximum safety, accuracy, and performance. So that's a very essential thing. We'll do a separate video on the use of that, but it also has a measuring tool for determining the distance of bullet seating, but there are some problems with that when it comes to certain bolt action rifles. It doesn't work very well because of the problem with the ejector and extractors. We'll go into that some more later on, but you know that I like to use a stony point to determine that distance to the rifling anyway. So anyway, this is a package that we need for the precision shooting rifles, and if you have all this, you're ready to go and start doing the reloading for the rifle. Now let's go and check out these scopes. So shooters and reloaders, this is the view through the Bushnell 4 to 12 power scope that came on that package. Kind of an inexpensive scope. This is at 6 power. Gives you an idea of what we're looking at. This is the Bushnell at 6 power at low light. And here is the Weaver at 6 power at dusk. Give you a good look at that. And here is the Weaver Classic 6 to 24 set at 12 power at dusk. Yes, one of the knocks on this scope is that it does not come with scope covers, but that's okay. We'll go ahead and get some aftermarket scope covers for it. Weaver 6 to 24 power mounted on that Savage 11 VT rifle, 308, and it's a good scope. But if this rifle shoots as well as I think it will, I'll probably go ahead and get a higher quality scope for it. But for now, let's go ahead and use this scope to do some testing and get some once fired fire form brass for this rifle. Bye for now.